Snow White. Well, it happened. Disney finally took its dump, releasing this thing into the wild for all 8 people who were excited about it. And it turns out it's just as bad as everyone was expecting. In Disney's own words, this isn't so much an adaptation of a classic movie as it is a reimagining. But it's like if Pirates of the Caribbean reimagined Jack as Captain Crack Sparrow. It's a complete and utter disgrace to the screen, not only for what it's done to the original story, but also just as a stain on cinema in general. If anyone's wondering why no one goes to the movies anymore, crap like Snow White is a great example why. So needless to say, I've been waiting for this. It's my moment to shine. That is to say, if you were looking for a movie to shit on, you couldn't ask for a better piece of toilet paper than Snow White. It's that awful. Before we get into it, how did we get here? Well, there were problems from the start. There's a reason this movie is referred to as Snow Off-White in the 7 controversies. From Rachel Zegler attempting to kill her own career with every word out of her mouth, to Disney's decision to pander to absolute dolts. We all know the meme at this point. Zegler saying how the original film was dated, calling the prince a stalker, and how the basic idea of Snow White was flawed, that it required a modern update where the character would become the leader she was always meant to be. Then Disney decided to follow the idiotic brain-dead take by Peter Dinklage, the perpetually offended little person who viewed the dwarfs as relics of the past. It's when you get so progressive you wind up being unbelievably offensive. They decided to replace the dwarf characters with mystical creatures, or whatever the fuck they decided to call them, full-on CGI monstrosities full of uncanny valley horror that would scare the shit out of their primary audience. The controversies rolled on, from on-set issues between the 2 lead actresses to delay upon delay. And man, did those modern updates hit hard. Indeed, Rachel Zegler's version of Snow White is a full-on girl boss narrative that you've seen time and again from Disney at this point. It's the same old song and dance that people have become exhausted by. Speaking of music, the updates include eliminating a number of classic songs from the catalog and replacing them with some new bullshit. This sounds like AC/DC updating their lyrics in the most stunningly brave way possible.
He kept his ladies clean. He had the best damn beanies that I've ever seen.
And Zegler wasn't wrong about what they've done to the prince. Even after delays and reshoots, the script must not have changed very much, because he's not a prince at all in this. Instead, they've turned him into a thieving vagabond. Yes, they changed the charming prince who would be Snow White's true love into a literal thief and generally untrustworthy piece of shit. Meanwhile, Snow White herself hasn't just undergone a skin tone change, which isn't a problem necessarily, except the fact her origins were that her skin was as white as snow, but now she's named Snow White because she was born during a winter storm. But she's also gone from damsel to boss bitch in 0 seconds flat. The original Snow White film was about vanity and innocence, while this one is the same old tired trope you've seen time and again over the last 10 years. Girl without flaws is perfect. She just needs to realize she's perfect and claim her throne. It's fucking ridiculous, because if you're going to change a character, at least give her a hero's journey, but nothing like that can be found here. None of this should be a surprise to us, of course, because Zegler and Disney have been pretty consistent in telling us this is exactly what they were up to. What's really surprising though is it's probably somehow worse than they were saying it would be. Speaking of Zegler, from an acting standpoint, she and Gal Gadot are absolutely terrible in this movie. And yes, that's how you really pronounce her name.
But yeah, my name is Gal Gadot.
It's not shocking that Gadot is so bad. I mean, we're talking about the person who provided one of the greatest lines of cringe in history here.
Kalel, no!
But just because we expect her to be awful doesn't change the fact that, well, she fucking is. Every piece of line delivery is as cringe as can be. Every song sung through the filter of auto-tune. Not to mention how hilarious it is that they got one of the most beautiful women in the world to play the queen. One of the first signs of a story change, since there's no way in hell someone like Gadot would be jealous of Rachel fucking Zegler. And Zegler's performance is abysmal. Yes, the woman can sing extremely well, which is surely one of the reasons she got the role in the first place. That and Disney's expectation at the time that she was the next it girl. But by now it's pretty clear to everyone that a person who's never once starred in a movie that was profitable probably isn't the next big thing. Every facial reaction is annoying. It's like you're watching someone who knows they're acting instead of someone losing themselves in a character. The rest of the cast doesn't fare much better, with most everyone providing wooden performances across the board, from main characters to supporting cast. And don't get me started on those damn abominations they call dwarfs. I mean, magical creatures. Pure nightmare fuel. They don't appear until a third of the way into the movie, but goddamn do they leave leave their mark, that of a complete shit stain. But let's just break this movie down from start to finish, shall we? I had to see this movie twice to write my script, and by God, I have to say it's probably my favorite one I've ever written, so you'll want to stick around. Before we dive in, a quick word about the sponsor of this video, and shout out to them for doing it because I'm about to get really offensive. As always, my friends, I timestamp these motherfuckers for your convenience, so you don't have to watch if you don't want to, but if you do, I love you, baby. Picture this. It's 6 p.m. You're staring into your fridge like it's a magic portal that's supposed to produce dinner. But all you see is a sad jar of pickles and some questionable leftovers from last Tuesday. Sound familiar? Yeah, me too. That's why I ditched my what's for dinner panic and joined HelloFresh. And it's been awesome, like finding an old $20 bill in your sweatpants pockets. Their plans are so flexible, it's like having your own personal chef. Busy week? No need for delivery. Feeling fancy? Their seasonal menu is always packed with fresh and in-season ingredients. Plus, you can mix and match options like fit and wholesome, family friendly, or vegetarian because one size fits all is for socks, not for dinner. No need to let boring meals or your hate for cooking sabotage your goals. HelloFresh delivers 30 plus calorie smart and protein smart recipes weekly, pre-portioned and fresh. Less prep, more gains. And it gets better. HelloFresh doesn't just save you from the dreaded fridge stare down, they're also giving you free breakfast for life. Yes, free breakfast for life. Every single delivery. It's like they know I'm not a real human until I've had my morning pancakes. So if you're tired of staring at your fridge like it's a puzzle you can't solve, let HelloFresh do the heavy lifting. Special thanks to the team at HelloFresh for sponsoring this video, and now back to it, baby. The movie starts with a narrator telling us all about Snow White, unlike the original, which starts with text setting up the plot. Because we're in the modern age now where people can't fucking read, the narrator tells us that in a kingdom run by a fair and just king and queen, they wished for a child, and that child was born on a snowy winter day, so they named her Snow White. Because again, unlike the original, they didn't name her after her skin being white as snow, because she's Colombian now or whatever. She was taught by her parents to also be fair and kind, which will be the basis of her character and story from here on out. This won't be surprising, but I'll be comparing this to the original quite a bit, which is pretty fair considering it's an adaptation of it. And unlike the original, which had a simple concept of vanity and innocence as its foundation, this one has changed that to be about justice and girl boss agency. Fucking yawn. Her father sings to her that she needs to become someone fearless and brave, just really driving that strong whammon narrative home. Basically the exact opposite of the original character, meaning this one's just going to be walking around in a Snow White skin suit. Anyway, Snow White's mom gets sick of all this bullshit and dies, and who steps in to fill her shoes? The magically hot and bodaciously bad at acting Gal Gadot, whose beauty is so intense it grants her magic powers. Yes, in a surprise twist and subversion of expectations, the movie doesn't try and suspend your disbelief at any point that Rachel Zegler makes Gal Gadot jealous. It seeds the point throughout the story that, hey, look, Gal's hot as fuck, okay, so we're just gonna make this about Snow White being a better person. Cool. Anyway, she marries the king and steps in like the wicked stepmother she is. This woman is so vain she has a magic mirror that speaks, and its lone mission is to gas her up. Yeah, you hot as fuck, lady. Don't worry, bitch, I'll tell you daily. She warns the king that there's a terrible threat beyond the kingdom, so he takes off to defend it. And like every woman who hates her husband, she did it on purpose to get rid of him. Just like that, dude's deader than a doorknob. With the king dead, the evil Queen Gal takes over, turning everyone from blacksmiths and ranchers into guards and army men loyal only to her. She turns Snow White into a servant and punishes anyone who crosses her. Basically, she rules with an iron fist.
My client should go right to fucking jail!
The narrator says in time, people forget there ever was a princess named Snow White, if you exclude the fact that every person in the movie from here on out fucking remembers her as the Princess Snow White, but okay, just okay.
What would you say if I told you I was mentally retarded?
We're finally caught up to present day now, where Snow White catches the prince, the not prince, stealing food. Yes, the prince from the original film has been reduced to a thieving vagabond.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
She tells him to put the food back, but he says the queen is a cunt, so he thinks the fuck not. Snow White says the princess wouldn't mind, and the not prince says, well, she hasn't been seen in years. Yep, there he goes, remembering who Snow White is.
It's shit. It is a table of shit.
See, now that so many years have passed since Queen Biatch took over, the people are mostly living in poverty and starvation, so Snow Off-White comes up with the brilliant idea of asking her to cut it out. Off-White talks to the animals about her wish, which is all you'll get of the classic song from the original when Snow White sang about wishing for true love, because she's destined to be a boss bitch in this one and needs no man. But no worries here, the movie is filled with plenty of new shitty music to not make up for it. Off-White goes and talks to the Queen about her request to feed the poors, and Queen Gal fills in the scene with her shitty acting chops to ruin the day.
Please, you were saying. You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
Off-White pleads with the Queen that even the smallest of things can make people happy. Wonder Woman grabs Off-White's necklace, the one her father left her with, and reads it. Fair, brave, and true, telling her how useless those words are. Then Wonder Woman's loyal huntsman brings in the Not Prince. Caught in the act of thieving and ready to chop his wanker off. He's loyal to the one true king, so she's about to throw the book at him. She's going to actually have him in his skivvies, bootless and pantsless, strapped to the gates waiting to die. Snow White protests, but the Queen tells her to fuck right off, and there's no better image for why they need to change the story away from the Queen's jealousy over Snow White's beauty than this image right here. Another musical number kicks in to ignore, this time the replacement version of Waiting on a Wish, where Off-White doesn't sing about waiting for true love, but waiting to become her father's daughter, the strong woman she's destined to be.
Close my eyes and see the girl I'm meant to be. She leave, just be there.
Rocky Balboa style.
Nothing encompasses modernity more than a song like this. From beautiful damsel to obnoxiously fugly boss bitch, we've made it, folks. It's Snow White for the modern age. She runs up and frees the Not Prince, because obviously, and it looks like he could have slipped out of those on his own, how easily she just slides them off, but you know, whatever. And he runs off like a retard into the woods. The Queen's been watching this all from her tower, so she instantly needs some gas after seeing such an atrocity of kindness. And the mirror replies to her regarding Snow White. Haughty with the body, ain't got nothing on shoddy. Pissing her off to no end. He is so fucking dumb. So Wonder Woman tells the huntsman to bring her into the woods and is like, carve her fucking heart out and bring it back to me. At least the movie kept that from the original. Some pretty diabolical shit. Anyway, this shitty remake even goes so far as to change what Snow White is doing out in the woods. She's picking apples instead of flowers because flowers would just be too innocent, too feminine of Off-White to enjoy. She offers an apple to the huntsman, which disarms him enough to stop him from stabbing her in the fucking chest. He threatens to kill her and she asks why? And he's like, God damn it, bitch, don't ask me why. But he can't do it. Shit, I could have, but alas. He tells her to flee into the woods with the most wooden acting possible. And all while this is going on, the two actors are standing against the shittiest, most obvious green screen imaginable. I'm serious, this movie looks like an absolute piece of shit 95% of the time. It's a damn eyesore of slop. Anyway, off she goes into the woods, and goddamn does this look like more dog shit. Just horrible. But she stumbles her way into a river and washes up on shore, where she's discovered by a bunch of fun-loving creatures. If you remember the original film, these animals play a large role, and besides providing a lot of comic relief, help showcase what attracts everyone to Snow White, her pleasant, unbridled innocence. But in this movie, they play almost no role at all, not even anything for comedic effect. Guess they could just smell the boss bitch on her. And instead of making narrative sense like the original, where she's able to understand the animals, asking them if they have a place where she can rest, she just follows them to the Not Dwarf's house because that's what the plot needs her to do.
This is shit. This is a table of shit.
Yes, instead of making an innocent mistake and believing the animals have led her somewhere safe, she just barges in and makes herself at home. What a delight she is. She immediately recognizes that someone else lives there, seeing their names on the beds, and just passes out because fuck them, that's why. Now that we're about a third of the way through the film, it's time to turn it into a horror movie. The fucking hideous abominations known as dwarfs, or in this movie, as to not offend anyone, the terrifying magical creatures of uncanny CGI. They finally make their appearance. From here on out, this piece of shit just goes right off the rails. These monsters are peppered throughout the movie and must be scaring the shit out of all 8 kids who are seeing this in theaters with their parents. Seriously, look at this shit.
What's there to be worried about?
What the fuck?
These creepy little fuckers arrive home ready for bed and sure as shit catch Snow White's lazy ass passed out drunk. Uncanny emoji number 6 gets stuck in the room with her and lifts off the blanket and they frighten each other. This Dobby looking motherfucker is supposed to be dopey, but instead he's just terrifying. The little freaks barge in to stop the beating they think she's gonna give Dopey and they're like, oh, you're a human! In the original film, they were simply little people. They referred to each other as men and her as a girl because because that's what they were. But not to offend anyone, they're now weird little magical creatures, so they refer to her as a human. Thank goodness for more modern updates. Now I can sit back and be thankful that a real live little person didn't get an acting job. She goes to leave, but they demand to know her name, so she tells them, Snow Off-White. And here we go with all of them not having a clue who she is.
Snow White princess?
Oh wait, just like every person in this fucking movie, they know exactly who she is. In fact, they know who she is so much, they demand she stay with them and let them help her. To drive home the changes from the original even further, the 7 Space Jam Monstars tell her that they're over 250 years old because this forest is a magical place. All this just to avoid hiring little people. God damn, does Disney hate real dwarfs. And they introduce themselves. Shitty, Stinky, Caca-Doodoo, Poo-Poo, Dobby, and Piss. A thunderstorm convinces her to take them up on their offer of staying, and then we switch over to the queen and see what the evil hottie's up to. Why, she's being as vain as ever, asking the mirror who's the fairest of them all, and he answers, I'd say you, bitch, but that's all cap. Midget simps rage while Snow White naps. The queen realizes she's been had, and the box supposedly filled with Off-White's heart is actually holding just an apple. So she punishes the huntsman for his disobedience. And after an obnoxious new musical number, she sends her little army out into the forest to find and kill Snow White. Back to the terrifying creatures in the forest, I mean the not dwarf magical creatures or whatever. They sit around a table discussing their names for the sake of the audience. You're called Dobby because you look like a goblin monster from Harry Potter. And I'm called Piss because, well, I smell like... The Monstars make a mess and Dobby gets all sad and runs off. So a stupid ass small subplot is created where Snow White helps him learn to use his voice. She starts by helping him whistle, and he does whatever an anti-cat call is toward her. They go back inside where she asks him pointed questions about their living situation, judging the bejesus out of her gracious hosts, and unlike the original where she and the animals come in and clean the house for them out of the goodness of her heart and coloring her kindness, they go with a baffling change where she commands the little fuckers to start cleaning their own home. Oh right, because this shows how she's a leader. She starts directing them on what to do, handing out a broom to Doo-Doo and instructing Piss to wash the dishes. Snow Beige decides that it's high time she finds the bandits who live in the woods. Since they fight in her father's name, they must know where he is. Hint, he's deader than shit. But the Monstars' work alarm goes off, so they head out into the woods, and we get this creepy ass shot of them walking and whistling. Followed by this creepy ass shot of Dobby. Snow White, being a complete dumbass, just kind of stumbles around in the forest for a little while until she leans against the tree where the Knot Prince just so happens to be standing. They see the Queen's guards run by, also what a coincidence, and they start talking about where the king is. In the dialogue exchange, Snow Off-White's line delivery could challenge Arnold Schwarzenegger's for how wooden it is.
You have no idea where he is.
And then they break the fourth wall by mocking the fact this dude isn't a prince in this version.
Must have mistaken me for a knight in shining armor.
I don't think anyone's making that mistake.
Ah, fuck you!
The Knot Prince brings Off-White to meet his associates, who turn out to be people who we all originally thought were the 7 dwarfs before they switched them to CGI. Psych, expectations subverted, bitch. They are in the movie. My assumption is they were who the filmmakers had playing the replacement dwarfs, but after leaks happened and they were mocked into oblivion for it, recast them as the bandits who follow the Knot Prince. Anyway, they're attacked by the Queen's army, guard, whatevers, and he pulls the old trickaroo on them. He says, I'll tell you where the princess is, then just goes, psych, and throw shit at him. Dead serious. That's what happens. The tussle begins and Snow White runs, but the animals stop her. She turns around and tries to help, drawing the little militia away and tricking them with the old damsel outfit behind the tree gag. The guards run off in the opposite direction, but a stray stays behind and finds them. He shoots his shot at Snow Off-White. Don't ask me why he'd do that, but the Knot Prince steps in and takes the arrow to his shoulder, saving her. At least they gave the token white guy that much. But not to be outdone, Off-White saves him too by bringing him to the Monstars for a resuscitation. Oh, and if this is all sounding like new additional bullshit that wasn't in the original, it's because it is. There's a moment when he comes out of the house all patched up and his comrades jump at him, and one touches his wound and he gives her the old step off, bitch. That made me laugh out loud. Snow Beige sits down with the one real dwarf in the movie, and he paints the picture of how the Knot Prince must care about her. He actually has to spell out that the dude saved her life by taking an arrow to the chest, so maybe he cares about you? And she puts on this face. BagFace. So boom, the two retards start to fall in love. They hear rustling in the woods and realize more of the army guard militia dudes are on the way, so they run off to protect Snow White. But almost instantly, dipshit Not Prince is caught and brought before the queen, again. Then we get magical dialogue where she asks, "Where is Snow White?" And he says, "Snow who?" To which she responds, "You're protecting her."
That shit is a two-pack of ass.
He's taken away to get a pummeling in a prison cell somewhere.
Right in the butt.
And the queen goes off to concoct her plan, turn herself into an ugly biddy and create a poison apple that'll put Snow Beige down for good. Back to Snow White and the 7 little goblins, she's decided to go looking for her father, which makes Doodoo, Piss, and the others really sad. Before she can leave though, the queen arrives disguised as a Snapchat filter. And unlike the original where she's innocent and naive enough to take the apple, here she's just retarded so she snatches it right up. She believes the old bitch knows the Not Prince and that he's been captured, which, you know, to be fair, he has. And the walking Snapchat filter gives her an apple for sustenance on the walk back to the castle. Lol. Sure as hell, after she bites into it, the queen starts ragging on her for being a dumbass and falling for it. And Snow Off-White drops dead. Now the movie goes completely off the fucking path, let alone off the rails. Where the original has about 5 minutes left before the ending, but no, we have another 20 because the movie needs Snow Beige to finish her girl boss arc. In the 1937 classic, Snow White was encased in glass and gold where the dwarfs watched over her. Here, the little shitty goblins just lay her on a rock and gawk at her. The Not Prince, meanwhile, has figured out a way to get out of his chains, while giving a speech that meeting Snow White, girl boss galore, has shown him what courage and spirit truly is.
Rocky Balboa style.
And what do they do to figure out the chain situation? Why, just yank on the bitch until it breaks. What fucking genius wrote this stupid shit? He steals a horse, I guess, and rides it back to the 7 Controversies house, and finds Snow White laying on a stone slab like a sack of meat. He leans down and kisses her chin. Lol again. And the stuck-up bitch had love in her after all, cause true love's kiss has brought her back to life. I'm genuinely shocked they kept this in the movie. Zegler even said maybe her co-star would be cut from the movie, remember?
It's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood, baby.
Snow Beige's underbite tells him that she knows her father is dead, but she needs to be a strong, independent woman and go reclaim the throne that's rightfully hers. Oh, and Dobby, the scary goblin, finally speaks and says, "Let the queen try and stop us," and continues to be a horrifying little monster of CGI. They make their way back to the castle, and Zegler stands there looking like Little Red Riding Hood for some fucking reason, while the Monstars take the path underneath. Snow White's confronted right away at the front gates by the queen's guards, and for whatever reason, the queen isn't surprised at all that Snow Beige is still alive. Queen Wonder Woman asks the townfolk who they'd rather have, a delicate little pussy like Snow Beige or a beautiful queen like her.
I want to be a gynecologist. If that's so, then I want good reasons why. You are the reason why, Miss Marquez.
And even though Queen G is the correct answer, the townfolk pick Snow White because the script needs them to. Queen G hands Zegler a blade and tells her to take the throne if that's what she wants. But she can't do it because, you know, she's a pussy, so the queen tells the guards to kill her. Unfortunately for us, that doesn't happen because Snow White uses the power of words to get them on her side. Just like how everyone remembers who she is, she remembers all the hyper-diverse guardsmen's names. And that's good enough to be a traitor to the queen. The queen goes to stab Snow White in the chest and put us all out of our misery, but it's shot out of her hand by the one real-life little person in the movie. And the Monstar Not Dwarfs are there, but don't do fucking anything at all. They just stand there like, "Yeah, bitch, we're still in the movie." The queen runs to the mirror and asks who the fairest is for the last time. And it says, "Your heart, no doubt. That ass is fire, but your ugly stepdaughter is the girl boss desired." She smashes the mirror in rage, but she must have gotten snapped out of existence by Thanos or something because she turns into dust and disappears for whatever fucking reason. And it looks like absolute shit where I legit laughed out loud. Everyone bows to their now queen, Snow Beige, and then they all celebrate in a massive diversity dance that's the most cringe shit you've ever seen. Like it's a commercial for some new medicine that side effects are diarrhea and a heart attack. And that's it, that's the fucking movie. From a modernized retelling of a classic tale with piss-poor acting and CGI abominations, this movie deserves absolutely everything coming to it, which isn't much in the way of box office, according to reports. The movie was made on a budget of nearly $300 million before marketing and distribution come come into play. And opening around the same as The Marvels, which was the lowest grossing movie for the MCU ever, isn't going to cut it. After watching it twice, yes, I had to watch this thing twice to do this review, and some relief by watching the original, I can confidently say this movie deserved every ounce of hate that came its way before its release, because it's just as bad as everyone predicted. It's an absolute disaster, a monstrosity, an atrocious piece of shit that deserves nothing but disdain. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this piece of trash received a B+ cinema score along with the horrendous reviews. Now, some might think that a B+ is good, but cinema score is always graded on a curve. A B+ is something that studios would absolutely panic over. The reason is because the people who are most likely to give it a positive review, the people who rush out to see it, aren't even that forgiving of it. A B+ is really like a C-, and that's from the most forgiving people possible. For context, this is the lowest rated cinema score for a live action remake that Disney had, which is saying something since most of their live action remakes are nearly universally despised as garbage, parading around in the original skin like they're Leatherface. It also flies in the face of the positive reviews it received from the paid shills who were given passes to the premiere. Now, what kind of review would someone give a movie if they wanted to keep getting invited to such things? After years of anticipation, I'm glad it's finally here and finally over. Don't let your kids watch this shit. Just watch the original and lead a better life. GG's.